This video is to show you how to make a tile for the Kente cloth project. Miss Tennant studies Kente cloth in her history class, and Kente cloth is a really beautiful woven fabric that comes from Ghana in Africa. Here's an example of one. So you can see there's lots of interesting patterns and very, very vibrant, bright colors. So what we're going to do is we're going to use these pieces of cloth as our inspiration to make tiles. So the first thing you'll need to do is get a tile from Miss Pick and Paul. They should already be cut. You'll have to ask her where the tiles are. And I want you to, on your mat, the first step is I want you to lightly, with a needle or a pencil, draw a border about the width of your finger. So if you put your finger down, you'll see you want to just kind of put in a border about the width of your finger. So I'm going to put in a line on the top, a line. If you mess up or it's not straight, if you want to use a ruler, you can. All right, you're not cutting into it, you're just kind of drawing on the clay with the needle. The second step is you're going to choose your pattern. Okay, I've got two choices for your patterns. If you've never done a tile before, I would recommend using one of the paper patterns that I have because these will help train you how to do the Kente cloth. These are patterns that are simplified versions of Kente cloth. If you have done a tile before with me or you really want a challenge, you might want to use the actual cloth, okay? So if you are choosing, I'm going to, for the example, choose one of these. So you're going to come get one of these papers, you're going to choose your cloth, and you're going to try to center the paper on the tile and just kind of press it down. All right, and after you've got it centered on the tile and press it down, you're going to take a pencil or a needle and you're just going to press kind of hard, but not too hard. It's okay if the paper rips because we're going to throw this away after. You're going to kind of press hard into the paper, so that when I lift this paper up, I'm going to see the indentation. Okay, so now when I lift this up, you can see if I look closely, I can see where it's indented. Okay, now the next step is you're probably going to wait till it gets leather hard. So we're probably going to wait a day before we do this next step. But I'm going to go, because it's easier if you wait till it's a little bit drier. Your tile might already be leather hard, so I'm going to show you what the next step would be. All right, some people are fine to just sketch this design out. They don't want to trace it. That's fine too. But after you have your design sketched out, you're going to take one of these carving tools and you are going to decide what is going to be the background, what is going to be lower, and what is going to be the foreground, what is going to be higher. So I'm thinking that on my pattern, all of this is going to be the background. So I might even write background back here, like background, and then this is going to be the foreground. I might even just write foreground on there, even though I'm going to erase that. So anything that is the background, you are going to carve away. So if I just take this carving tool and kind of go in, I'm going to start carving away. Do not go too deep. See about how deep I got in there? It's really only, I don't know, like a fourth of the way down. You don't want to go more than halfway down here, okay? If you start getting too deep, this is going to get too thin and it will break maybe. So, but anyway, once you get the hang of the carving, you're going to carve away everything that is the background. So remember, see, I decided that my foreground was going to be this little, I don't know, I guess you'd call that a quadrilateral in the foreground. And I'm doing this fast. You're going to take your time and do this, okay? Now, so you can see I'm carving away, not too deep, everything that's in the background. And I chose a really simple one. Yours might be a little more complicated. All right, now you'll see here I carved away some of that, but it's kind of like I don't want to see those little carved patterns. You just kind of lightly go over it again, maybe a different direction. Or you can take your finger and just kind of rub it, okay? All right, and that'll kind of smooth that out. But what we want is we want part of the pattern to stand out and part of the pattern to be in the background. Now, once you have carved it all out, if you have a more complex pattern, you might want to add some clay to the foreground to make it raise up any more, some more, and that would give you a background, midground, and foreground. And if you're not quite sure what I'm saying, just come and check in with me. Say, what do you mean by this background and foreground and midground? Because some people have done a tile like this with me before and they have experience, and some people haven't. So I have more resources and I can give you a mini lesson if you're interested. So here I've carved away a background and I'm going to leave this as the foreground, okay? That might be all you do. Now, if you want to create a tile that's a little more complicated, you can find Kente patterns online, or you can use one of these. If you're going to use one of these, it's going to be basically the same thing. You're going to draw out your border first, and then you're going to place the fabric somewhere on the tile, and you're going to trace the pattern of the fabric. Okay, so here I would trace the little boxes that would go along here. You know, I would trace this part of the angles. I would trace everything, so all the lines that I see. And if it turns out a little bit different in your design, that's okay too, but this is sort of acting as our inspiration. All right, so then once you have everything traced here, all right, then you would lift it up and you have your pattern. And you're just going to, again, you're going to carve away some of the pieces. Or with this, if it's a really complicated design, you might not carve away stuff. You might just come in with your needle and actually just kind of make sure you have the pattern drawn out. Both ways are okay. But I wouldn't do this way for the more simple designs. For the simple designs, we should probably carve them out. But you can see like another way to do it if your design is just a little more complicated. You might just kind of draw your designs in kind of deep with a needle or a pencil. Then when you're done, you're going to put your name on the back. You're going to put it over there somewhere on the silver, can you see them, on the silver tray, and then we'll fire it. And then after it's fired and hard, we'll choose our colors for how we're going to paint it. Good luck.